It's a pleasure to be here with all of you today. Ladies and gentlemen, in conducting this research, I had the honor of interviewing several of you who are here with us today. You expressed your gratitude that Global Child Forum from Stockholm had discovered you and your company, and were looking deeply into the efforts that you were carrying out to fulfill children's rights. My job is to find all of you and to pick up the excellent cases, the good cases, and to showcase them and to share them in forums like this. My job is also to encourage you to do even more. There is still much to be done. In this session, we will launch the Southeast Asian Corporate Benchmark Study. We'll go through a few of the results, and then you'll hear from some of those best case company examples. Global Child Forum and the Boston Consulting Group initiated the Benchmark Study Series in 2013. We have conducted studies both globally and regionally. And the purpose is to develop a baseline to understand how and in what ways companies address children's rights. For example, if children's rights are included in policies, included in supply chain management, and board management decisions. The purpose is also to analyze trends over time, both on a regional and global scale. The studies do not measure performance nor compliance. I should mention also that we have a deep dive series and a case study series where we look more closely, more deeply into some of the leading examples to understand processes that companies have gone through and how they have done so to fulfill children's rights. You'll hear a little bit more about this later on in this session and this afternoon. And one of the examples of our case studies is Akia. For this study, as you heard earlier this morning, we screened 289 of the largest companies in the region. And I should say right away that we found in all the industries that we looked at, there are leading examples in almost all of them. So that's fantastic. We assessed the companies against 9 indicators for a total possible 9 points. Companies were assessed, for example, indicator number 1, do they have a child labor policy? Yes or no. And another example, number 4, board accountability. We looked at, is board level management responsible for these issues? Yes or no. We gathered our data from publicly available information, such as your annual reports. The regional average for Southeast Asia is 2.1. This result is quite similar to Southern Africa, which was at 2.4, but below the global average of 3.4. Now, what this shows me is that perhaps business in this region is not yet doing enough to support children's rights. However, initiating programs, one of the factors, companies in this region that we screened scored very high. 70% of those that we screened indicate that they have initiated a strategic program that includes children's rights, for example, in education, access to education, nutrition, education, health. Another very positive score was 43% of those companies donate to charity that includes children's rights. On the other end of the spectrum, only 3% of those companies that we screened indicate that their board is responsible for these issues. So for me, this begs the question, should it be a concern for us that children's rights is not necessarily integral to how we do business? That is, how can we, together, ensure that children's rights is increasingly addressed at the board level?